Good morning and welcome to Carnation Crafts. We are live in the Carnation Crafts studio, and as always, it's lovely to have your company. So exciting times, exciting things happening with Carnation, which is just awesome. So what they are doing is releasing the Into the Woods USB as a digital download. So straight from their website, straight to your computer. No postage, no waiting. It's there. It's right with you the minute you download it. Hey, Pam Lillington. How you doing, lovely? Good morning, Karen. So it is there for you the second you hit that button, which is just awesome. If you're like me and you like instant gratification, this is it. This is instant gratification. So it's on their website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. A little search button at the top there, and you can either go to digital market or you can go to the search button and you can type in the number and go from there. But you can just see it on the digital marketplace. Go and browse the digital marketplace. It's got some awesome stuffs on it. So you can see it there, $39.99, and that is a show price for you today. And can I just say, while you're on the website there and you're looking at the digital marketplace, they've got a 3 for 2 offer on today. You can see it's 12:57, so 12 hours 57 minutes left. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, Suzanne. You've been poorly, done your back in this week. Poor Suzanne, good Lord. Yeah, well, I want to have a kind of a play on the scan and cut today and just have a look at some stuff. If you've got questions, please do ask. I'll answer what I can. I'll be honest if I can't. But we're going to have a look at Into the Woods. So Into the Woods is one of their first USBs. It's one of the very early USBs. So I think they're bringing this one forward because we haven't seen it for so long. It came out in July of 2020, which is nearly 3 years ago. Can you believe it? Time is moving forward very fast. So when you get this, you can have a look at your downloads, download it to your computer. I'm going to go through all of that with you in a second. We don't have boards for this because it was such an early one, but Miss Tiztaz has put together a little sort of slideshow, I suppose, for you. So we're going to have a look at that first, and we'll whiz through quite fast, and then we're going to have a look at the vignettes. We're going to cut some stuff out, and we're going to do some bits and bats, and we're going to have a couple of demos. And any questions that you've got regarding the scan and cut, please do ask. If I can answer, I absolutely will. Miss Tiztaz, here we go. Let's start having a look. I'm not going to be able to remember all of the names for these, by the way, just in case any of you are thinking I'm that smart. I am not. I'm sure none of you thought that in the first place anyway. So you've got your little ivy canopy there going through. These are your card shapes. So this is your book card shape, which is just gorgeous, the Into the Woods book. So you've got that to look at there as well. They never let us down with card bases. We always know that. You've got Over the Falls sitting there. And you've got your boot, which I love the Lost Boot. I think it's super cute. You've got your 2 sets of fairies in this collection. So that's one of your fairies, which is the Petal Fairy. You've also got the Blush, which will come up in a little. You've got your little fairy house, which is cute as a button, and the frames there as well, your little fairy door. And all the sort of, that is stunning. That poppy is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. Then you've got your little mailbox, your mythical mail. You have got your little borders. Again, I can't remember all of the names for this. That one is Into the Veil. But if I do forget some of them, you are going to have to forgive me. You've got your little toadstools coming through, which are super sweet. You're going to be able to use these and cut them in. That I love. I've always loved Carnation skeleton leaves. And there's a few in this. So you've got your oak silhouette. You have also got your birch silhouette and a couple of bits and pieces there. Look at the cuteness, Miss Tiztaz. It's such a lovely collection. That's your little fairy tag with the little frog there with his very cheeky little tongue out. You've got your florals coming through, all the things we'd expect. Your easel card, which I will show you today and I'm going to play with you. Scalloped edge easel is always awesome. You've got your corner pieces, so you've got the bird and the bunny. You get this, which is your menu of everything, and you've got a lot more than all of this on there too. But your menus are always important. Get them printed. Keep them. You've got these, which are stunning. So you have got the woodland animals going through. I can't remember the name of them all, but Wily Fox is one of them. I know that much. That's your birch silhouette. There's Baby Bumble. And he's got all of his decoupage pieces. They've all mainly got decoupage pieces as well. It's weird doing the boards this way. There's Wiley. I'll be playing with Wiley later on, so you will see him. And I will say that on this USB, as well, as you're just looking through the images here, a lot of them do have sort of an extra version of them. So not necessarily a colourway. That, by the way, is a box frame. Not necessarily a colourway, but an extra version of them. There's the Blush Fairy. I'll be playing with her today. There's Conkers and Bonkers, which are super, super cute. The little squirrels. It is all of the awesomeness. It's all of your fairy tales, your woodland. It's very, very sweet and very, very cute. Allows you to make some really awesome cards. I'm just going to have a look at these and just show you a couple that we've got here. Do you want me to on overhead, Miss Tiztaz? There you go. Isn't she pretty? Really beautiful. Gorgeous things that you can make. I love that so much. So pretty. It's just really, really beautiful. They sit up, if you can see. And this one, I believe, opens straight out into your gatefold. Because, of course, we're using the scan and cut, so you can foil stuff too. So you get those different looks coming through on so many different things. This one, look at the cuteness of that. And I love the size of them. I love the fact that we can resize everything. There are more finished samples, but I can't lean over that far. If you want to make something very, very simple, very, very sweet, you've got the little fairy here. Like I say, we will be playing with her today, so you are going to see her. Thank you, Miss Tiztaz. That was kind. I've ruined your set. Let me show. There's your fairy tale. I love him. He's so naughty. With his little tongue sticking out. And then this, which I think is absolutely exquisite. Just there using your gorgeous, gorgeous acetate. Isn't that so pretty? So USB card making is actually something that's very, very different to normal card making. Miss Tiztaz is sitting next to me trying to do 20 jobs at once, and I'm not making her life any easier here. USB crafting is something very different to die crafting, and I have this discussion lots. I've had this argument lots with people where they say, well, it's not the same thing. You're absolutely right, it's not. And it's not meant to be, because we have more control with a USB than we do with a die. With a die, you get the imprint of all of the cut lines, so it's a completely different look. But with the scan and cut, or with a Cricut, or with a silhouette, you get to change so much of your immediate outlay, if you like. So for spending the money you spend on a USB, you then get to exponentially change every single file. So you're so in control. It's so different. It's so awesome. I absolutely love doing digital work as far as this is concerned, because there's so much to do. What we're going to look at mainly first is just, let's cut out a vignette. Let's just have a look at how that works on the scan and cut. And then we're going to go into some demos and we'll keep refreshing. But just to let you know that the code for this is ECO102. And that, I think, is that an O or a 0?
So it's ECO102.
ECO102. I think it's EC0102. Do you know what? It's on deal of the day. It's on deal of the day today. Try it, Miss Tiztaz, because I think that's 2 zeros by the looks of the screen. We'll find out. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Jacqueline Ward. Are you all right? So the little menus that you get when we bring these to you, you always get them in USBs. Just print them and just put a little hole in the top of them, punch them together. It's a 0. Is it EC0102? So it's all numbers. So EC and then 0102 makes it easier for you. Yeah, your little menus that you get, they're just super useful, because once you've got your USB and you're sitting with the files on there, you don't have a picture to match it up. So this is why we have these. So I can go, I've got the, if I look, say here, and I go, I've got the little fairy sitting here. I don't have a name on here of what that is. How do I find it? Well, I can go to my little taster menu and I can find her on here. Now, I think my third page is downstairs, but I know she's the Blush Fairy. But if you know that's the case, I can match it. I can find the name, and then I can go onto my USB and match it all up. So these are your most important. Get them all into a folder, and then you can always revert back to them when you're looking through. So as far as the digital marketplace is concerned, I'm going to bring my laptop forward, so you're going to disappear off my screen for a minute, and I'm going to show you what it looks like so that you can sort of have a look when you get home. One of the things that I've bought is this, and I've got 5 USBs on here, super cheap, super cheap. And whenever I'm using USBs, I tend to use these anyway. So I've got these USBs, they're completely blank. So I can put the information that I've downloaded onto one of these, and I can chuck it in my Scan and Cut if I so choose. You don't have to do that, because certainly with a Scan and Cut, you can do a file exchange over the internet. I find it easier to have it on a USB, but everybody crafts differently. But just to show you, so if I just pull this forward, let me just minimize that. Right, if I bring this here, I'm just going to turn my pewter so you can see it on the overhead. We are professionals. Let me have a look. Just find my... So that's the USB. So you've downloaded it. You're going to double click, and there's your files. So you've got Into the Woods USB PDF. That is the menu that I was showing you a second ago. And you've got papers, which are all of your backing papers. And then your most important one on here, stop looking at the monitor and start looking at the computer, Carla. Your most important one is SVG files. For me personally, this is the one that I right click and copy. So if I right click here, it should bring me up a little menu, and I can press copy, and then I can paste it onto a USB. Then I can take that USB out and put it in my Scan and Cut, and that would be my USB that matches in. Let me get you back. Matches in for my USB. It's just how you prefer to craft, but for me, I find it easier to be able to have them separate. Just let me find you 1 second in case you have any questions. Right, so that is your basic run through of the files. You all know what the USB files look like. We do them every time we do them. You've got an absolute ton of backing papers on there as well that sit on it. All of your vignettes, so your artwork is all on the USB. You don't have to go to Carnation Crafts website to get that separately. It sits there, as do your backing papers. So it's just this big massive file. Now I don't have all of mine here because I have used some of them, but look at these, so cute, really sweet. There's a ton of stuff, and this is what they look like. Massive, whacking, great big, all of the things, Miss Taz, all of the things. Okay. Now, when we're looking at the files for any kind of USB, you're going to have a corner element here, and it'll say either DC, or it'll say SC, or it'll say DCSC. DC is detail cut, and that means that you're going to get loads of cut lines in it. So it kind of replicates a die, not obviously precisely, you're not pushing on it as you would with a die, but it gives you all of those cut lines. A speed cut is just the outline, okay? So you're just getting the main points of it. And the difference being is that a speed cut, obviously you're not going to have as much detail in it, but it's very quick to cut. So when I'm doing demos, I tend to always do the speed cut because it's quicker for you to watch how to do it. But either way, it works. So this, I would just get the outline for it. But if it was a detail cut, I would have more on it. So let me find something that's a speed cut so you can see that not all of them have DCSC. Have a look. I've got so many here. Hold on. There you go. Speed cut. So that's just a speed cut. There you go. Okay. So that's your difference. Speed cut's the way that I tend to go. Just is easiest for me. Let's have a look at this blush fairy at the back, and let's just give her a quick cut out. I've got to tell you in advance, my Scan and Cut has been playing up recently. I don't really know why, but it had a little moment yesterday, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to come on air. It's been working ever since, so we're going to pray. So that's my blush fairy. I'm always going to put her at my 0 point on my mat, and I'm going to try and make my mat as little sticky as possible, which is why you can see fluff on mine. I always go over with my jumper, and it's just to stop this sticking and tearing when I try and raise it up. It doesn't always work, but it usually does. If your mat's too sticky, just try and just de-stick it a little bit. So I know she's my blush fairy, so I'm going to go over to my Scan and Cut. Now, obviously, the studio is is small as such, so I don't want to be leaning too far in. If I get in the way, you'll have to cope, but I am going to have to lean slightly, so prepare yourselves. This should be a laugh. So I'm just going to move to the side. Now here's my scan and cut. I need to get the information, so I've put my information on a USB and I've just popped it into the side of my machine. And I'm just going to go to retrieve data, and I'm going to go to my USB because I've put it on there. However, if you're wanting to get it straight from your computer, you've got to go to the Brother Canvas workspace. You upload your SVG onto your Brother's Canvas workspace, and then you send it across to your machine via the internet, usually the easiest. Yes, Ms. Tiztaz?
Alison's asked a question again.
No, so your free backing papers, Alison, sorry, I wasn't listening. Where do you get the free backing papers for this collection? Are they in the digital market? No, Alison, is part of the USB. So you just literally download that one file. Everything's on there. Your artwork and your backing papers are on the files. So it's all sitting there straight for you. You can get it just straight off it. So you don't need to do anything extra. So mine's on my USB. So I'm just going to click here. And it's going to bring up that same folder that I just showed you on my computer. That's exactly the same folder. It's a direct replica of it. And I'm just going to click in and I'm going to click SVGs, which is here. I know that the fairy I want to cut is the blush fairy. You can see that just on the screen there. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to do the speed cut because that's what I've got the design for. And there is my speed cut SVG. So every single line on there is a line that my blade is going to follow, and that's going to cut it out. And then I need to scan it. So in order to scan it, obviously I get the image onto my mat, and then I'm going to load that. Super easy to do, maybe not when I'm at an angle, but normally. We're going to press your chessboard button. That's going to feed my mat in. Then it'll spit it slightly out. Okay. And I need to scan that because I need to match it to that. So the first thing that I'm going to do before I go anywhere else, whether it'll stay in this order, I don't know, but we'll try. I'm going to press OK because I'm happy with that. I'm going to go to edit. Well, actually, I'm going to touch there. It's already got a red box around it, right, Taz?
Yeah.
I've got light shining on me. I'm going to press edit. I'm going to press my party box because everything wants to join together in the party box. Everything's now red on that page, right? Okay. So I'm going to press OK. And now I need to scan it. So I'm going to press OK again, and I'm going to press my oven door. So when I press my oven door, it's going to feed my mat through. Just here.
Need some interlude music.
It does, doesn't it? We could do some lift music. So now I've got the image on my screen that is scanned from my mat. So I need to just make sure they're lining up. Now, the reason they have that little cutout corner at the top there is so that I can check that it's lining up, because it's important. If everything is lined up together, then I know it's together. I can't see if they're all still highlighted in red at this point. Can you see that, Miss Taz? No? I can't. They're not highlighted. Okay, so we're going to click. There we go. There we go. Now we can see it. Everything's highlighted, so everything's going to shift, and I just need to shift it. If you can see just in this line down here, that red and black are just not quite right. The red is too far over here. I need it to match with the black line that it's next to. I mean, to be honest, Nick gives us such a good bleed line on these. You can get away with it, but if you can line it up, you absolutely should. So I'm just going to go to edit, and I'm going to try and shift it. I'm really struggling to see my screen, so I do apologise to you all. But hold on, have I gone on to the right one? You see, if I press this magnifying glass, another one appears here. And now I can go to 400%. And that's going to take me right into that corner. Can you see how that's completely off? I need to move it. So I'm going to have to shift it slightly across. So I'm just going to press this arrow here. Am I moving, Miss Taz?
Yeah.
Are we going across?
Yeah, so there. Bingo.
Are we about right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's now got me perfect. I am exactly where I want to be. That little corner piece is my absolute guide. So long as I move everything, I'm good. So I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to press OK again, and OK again, and then I'm going to press OK again. I'm going to select cut, and then I'm going to press start, and it's going to start cutting, which is what I want it to do. I'm just going to move that slightly forward, make sure I don't drop it. Out. And I'm going to start it in motion. Now, I'm not going to get it to cut the whole thing because I need to keep an eye on it just because of the space in the studio, and you don't want to see this cutting, but I'll let it cut a little bit so you can see it working. I've already got one cut out, and I don't want it to fall. I'll just move that out of its way and it should be fine. Ooh, Miss Tiztaz. It's very, very exciting. Good morning, Miss Sharon Curtis, you lovely human. How you doing? Miss Sharon Curtis has been learning Scan Cut as well. So she's just cutting. I think, shall we pause her, Miss Taz? Is there any need to go any further? Just making a noise. You can see she's cutting it out. So I'm going to pause it. And then once she's done, I'll quick cut in here. Once she's done, obviously, you just take all of your elements off the board and you've got the little ferry. It's as simple as that to cut the USBs. They're so easy to cut. It's just scan and cuts make life so easy. It just makes life easy. So I've got all of my elements here in order to create a little demo. So I've cut some little bits out, some various pieces. But one of the things that I wanted to show you that I think is really important is one of the card bases that you get in here, and you get loads of them. So I've just selected sort of a random one to just have a play with, and it's the easel, the scalloped easel, which I love, 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 love. Let me just get all my bits and bats out of the way. So the card shape itself comes like this, and it actually has its little score line going across for you. You don't need to do any sort of anything on that. You just fold it over, and then we fold that point, everything done. Just easy, right? So it's just one piece. You don't need to worry about measuring, doing, folding, score. It's just done. Easy peasy peasy. So we've done that, and then one of the mats that you get with it is exactly that same size. That's going to be part of our mechanism and allow us to raise that. So we've got the mechanism working. So I'm just going to come in here, grab this. I'll just move the bottom too. Now what I'm going to do is just open that so that I can get it more exact. Just get it onto my glass board at a certain point, just so I can line things up, and put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing because old, and just get it as near as I can, and that'll do me. And then I'm just going to commit there as well, and that gives me my full mechanism. Really easy, isn't it? It's just simple card making, which suits me to a T. Now I need a mat on here. So what I'm going to do is just pull this from here. I'm going to use a little bit of wet glue just to place on and put down. Now this is what I would call a more traditional card. The next one that we're going to make, I'm going to do something a bit different because we don't get the chance to do this on C&C, and I want you to have a sort of an idea on how to make your own bases using the scan and cut so that you can just bring all this together. Pearl says, wow, just got back from shopping, logged into my PC. Hi, Colour and everyone. Hey, Pearl. I hope your shopping was without trauma. Shopping's not my thing, I have to say. I get very stressed. So I'm just going to place this on, lining it up. So you get your papers you can print. Beautiful colours, right? So then I'm just going to put a lighter coat on the top of it because I just want to cool those tones a little bit. It's too dark for me. When I try and craft on something that's that dark, it's just a little bit too dark for me. Whereas if I can put a white piece on the centre of it, I can grab a better visual when I'm trying to compose and put the piece together. Not entirely straight, but I can't lean over, so it'll do. It's nice enough. Diane says, good morning, late joining. Is the digital download exactly the same as the USB, please? It is, yes. It's exactly the same. It's just direct to your computer. No need to wait for postage. No need to do any of those things. It's just direct straight to your computer. Pearl says, shopping okay, plenty of veg, but not all in one supermarket. I went to 3 Tesco's, Asda and Sainsbury. There's this whole thing at the minute, aren't they, where they're stopping people buying cucumbers. I read. Did you see it?
know.
Yeah, so they're limiting everyone on how many tomatoes you can buy and how many cucumbers you can buy at the minute because there is a shortage in the UK. So you can't buy many. Obviously, by this svelte body, I eat many vegetables.
Well, I was going to say, if I'm supposed to be doing this diet, this is just...
Miss Tiztaz has lost loads of weight. And she looks incredible. As I told her when she walked in this morning, she looks very, very good. Right, let me make sure I've got this where I want it to be. Place down. Push. Pull. Good morning, Christine. Never apologise for being late. Never apologise for being late. So I restuck my mat yesterday because it was driving me insane, and now everything I've got is sticking to everything because I think I was a little bit excessive with the glue. I ended up with a whole bottle of WD-40 trying to get the glue off it. Then, oh, it was a day. It was a day, Miss Tiztaz.
You like your WD-40?
I love WD-40. It's my favourite thing. I use it for everything, but you can see where I've got bits of sticky on here. Yeah, WD-40 fixes most of my problems. Actually, that's not true, but it makes me feel better about the ones that I can fix. Right, so we've got some elements here from that Blush Fairy and some little bits from the Fairy House. And I've cut into the Fairy House a little bit onto the roof elements of it, just so I can play, really. And she's so pretty. I love the colour of her. She's just very sweet. All my decoupage pieces and my little bits and my little bats. So what we're going to do is build her and build her where she's sitting, build her surroundings. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sense. Now if I just place her down, I would need to place her right at the very bottom of the card in order, which she looks very sweet there, but it's in order to make sense of the grounding. Otherwise she is just floating in mid-air. I don't want her to be right at the bottom of it particularly. It's going to be an easel card, so I want to raise her up so her wings are further, are higher. It's just my choice, my preference. So in order to do that, I've created a little fairy tale log for her to sit uponst, so it makes sense visually. So a little bit of glue on here, just a little smidge of the Carnation Everyday glue, just to make sure it sits nice and tight. And I'm just going to place that sort of corner in. I'm not too worried. Just about there, okay? Now what I want her to do is have some little leaves behind her, so I just want to create a little bit of interest at the back of her without piling on too much. I don't want it to get too busy, but I do want something, because if it's just white space then it's a little bit naked. And I like the idea of her having some foliage and some pieces around her, although she looks very sweet on there as well. So all I'm going to do is just bring in a little piece of foliage, line her up, make sure I've got it roughly where I want. I'm quite happy to have it slightly hidden. So if I place it around about there. So because I don't want to glue her down until I've got that where I want it to be. So I'm going to keep her where she is, keep my finger on it, pull this out, little bit of glue, not much, and just in that corner, because I can lift up, raise, and I can add extra. So I'm keeping her where she is, little finger there, push this back to where I wanted it to be. So I've got it. Once I've got it in place, push and commit just where that glue was. Then I can raise her up and I can start to work with the space that I've got, because I know she's going to fit where I want her to be. So I'm just adding in a little bit extra here as well. Just so it's got that little bit of flow that comes out the side. It looks very odd like that, doesn't it? Oh, that looks like a claw. Right, let's go in with her. So I'm going to start her out. I might pin flare her at the back here. Raise her up. All of her decoupage layers are going to be risen. So we're just going to place a little bit. Get her to sit. And then we're going to go in with our decoupage layers. So we've got the next piece here that sits on top. I've got this on a 3mm. And she's going to say, I'm going to have to put my head in, I think, Miss Taz. I'm sorry, I just need to... Ah, well done. Miss Taz is so good. Just to place her. And then we've got another piece. And we're just going to pop. I'm just lining her up by her hands mainly because that's my visual, but if I was doing this downstairs, I'd pretty much be climbing on the table and looking right over and right down so I could see those decoupage. But I'm okay with how I'm going with that. Look how sweet she is. And you can start to see we build this dimension, we build this depth, and it gets a little bit of sort of umph and spark to it in that way. And that's what the 3D does for us as far as decoupage is. And what I love about this, specifically the fairy, and that's kind of why I chose her for the decoupaging on this, is she's so beautifully traditionally decoupage. I had a little tile when I was little with Holly Hobby on it, and she was decoupaged, and obviously I was about 2 when I had it in a pub in Newbury, and it's kind of my first knowledge of decoupage, and this just reminds me of that very beautiful traditional decoupage. I'm just going to place some florals here. I'm not cutting them up, I'm actually going to leave it just as one main floral piece, but I am going to pop it behind her hand and behind her hair as a background piece, just a little touch of floral. Sweet, right? Sitting, holding those, loving them. And then I'm just going to use these here, and I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of glue on the back of her hand, on the top layer of my decoupage. Take this, and if I was at home, sorry Miss Taz, I'm not making your job easy. If I was at home, I would be using tweezers just to ensure I've got that where I want it to be. Place it so she's got them in the palm of her hand, and she's just holding those little flowers. Super, super sweet. The only thing left now is that we need a stopper for this. So you can see how these raise from the others, so you get that dimension. Really pretty, but I need a floral stopper, or I need a stopper, and I've got this beautiful, I don't know what flower it would be. What flower is this, Miss Taz? Do you know the things?
I just get them, I don't know them.
So you're like me, they're just got petals. Jacqueline says grandchildren have just left. I think I've gone deaf, but I do love them. Just not when I'm wanting to catch Carnation. Bless you. I was trying to watch something last night, and my son, Abraham, who has at least the same skills as I do for talking, Iris, Alison says it is, just was going at me, so I missed my show, bless him. So I've got those gorgeous decoupage pieces. Now, I'm going to be really annoying Miss Taz. Hold on, am I or am I not? Let's have a look. Let me just grab her wing, pull her forward. You can see that. That's fine. So it's a case of choosing where you want it to be. How high do you want... Crocus! Iris, I don't know the things. How high do you want her to sit? When the recipients... Can I just turn this a minute, Taz? Is that okay? Can I front face? Do you mind? When the recipient's getting it, do you want the recipient to have it sitting high? Or do you want the recipient to have it so she lays a little lower? And that's going to be your decision point as to where you place your stopper. At what point do you want the recipient to see it? And it's entirely up to you really as to how you decide to play with that. So I'm going to turn it right back to myself so I can see where I'm going. And I think I will just place my little floral at an angle just about. I quite like it there. Just so it's poking through, and if I wanted I could add a little bit of foliage behind there too. I'm not going to, but I just think as an added visual it might be something nice for you to add. But I like the simple clean line of that. I think it's just very pretty. So if I turn that to you so you can see it, all those layers, all of that dimension coming through, just using simple decoupage techniques, and you've got something super, super pretty, really, really sweet. And there's her little wings coming off the side. Really gorgeous, right? All that dimension. There's something about USBs, there's something about digital crafting and your ability to change and do things in a different way, but the simplicity of it, because things like that easel card where it's done for us and we don't have to think about it because the file's on here and I don't like doing the thinking bits, it's done for me. So I'm going to do something that's a little more complex for the next demonstration. The end card will be very clean lined, but the construction of it is a little bit more in depth than we normally go. So hopefully it won't be too in depth or it won't be too complex. So let me just move this back. I just want to have a look at that scan and cut. So I'm just going to release my mat here and I'm going to take, I've got all of this pre-cut by the way, in case I need it. You can just see where this fairy was starting to cut. Let's get this off the mat. If you have trouble getting stuff off the mat, roll your mat. Normally it makes it easier. Your paper should then come away without tearing. And then I just need a scoop just to get my little bits and mats off here. Right, Carnation do a really awesome 12 by 12 cardstock, and I use it, it's a 300 GSM, I use it predominantly when I'm USBing because it's just a really good thick cardstock, so I'm going to use that for this. But let's have a look at a thing. I know that I want this card to be an 8 by 8. Could I just cut it on a normal thingy? Have I got two or one there? We'll soon find out. Could I just cut it normally? Yes. Am I going to? No, because I'm just going to add an aperture into it and I'm going to get the scan and cut to do the work for me because I don't want to do it myself. Now, I could sit and do this with dies. I could do it in different ways. If you've bought a USB, why would you do that when you've got it all sitting on here? So let's have a look at that. So, like I say, I've got it all pre-cut, but I'm going to go home here and I'm going to press OK. And I'm just going to feed my mat in slightly, just so I can get it in place. Now, I've already cut Wily Fox, and I will show you him in a second. But the first thing I'm going to do, just raise that to there, so I can put that in. Right, Miss Taz, are we still in focus? Am I still okay? Okay, so what we're going to do here is go to patterns. I'm going to select patterns, and from that, I'm going to select my basic shapes, okay? And I'm going to choose a square. Now, I know that I need my square to be 8 by 8. I want it to be an 8 by 8 card, right? So I'm going to change here. Excuse my hand, but I'm going to change that to 8 inches. Near enough. Now, if I don't get this exact, I'm not worried because, like I say, I have already pre-cut it, but I want to show you how to do it. It always goes too far when I do this. Right. Okay. Are we there? And then I'm going to press set. And that's going to bring it onto my board. Can you see I've now got a square? Nothing very exciting there, right? But it's an 8 by 8 card base, so I've already gone one step. But I want to add an aperture into it, and I want the aperture to be a circle. And I know I want my aperture to be 4.5 inches. So I need my circle to be 4.5 inches. Now, because of the size of that square, I know that this is not going to take a circle of 4.5 inches. So if I show you what I mean, if I go to add, and I go to pattern, and I go to here, and I choose a circle. Is there a circle? That's a circle, isn't it? If I go to a circle, okay? Now it says 3.94, and there's a specific reason for it saying 3.94, and that's because that's the only amount of room that I've now got left on my mat, okay? So if I try and get it to 4.5 inches, which is where I want it, and I will show you. Okay, let's go to there, just say, and press set. It's going to come up saying you haven't got enough room, dude. It's going to all come off the mat. You can't have it. So no, no. So we've got to go back and say, okay, and I'm going to take it back down to 3.94 because I know that that's where it'll allow me. I don't mind it if it's not quite right, but I'll press set, and that now has the little circle on my board as well. So I've got both, but I do know I want it to be 4.5 inches specifically. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to try and shift it. And I'm doing this blind, which is why I've already pre-cut it, because I can't really see from the angles that I'm on, but it's there. Then I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to go to object edit. I've only got my circle, I haven't got both, just that. And I'm going to go to my draggy out tool and make it bigger, and there it says 3.84. I'm going to raise that to 4.5 inches. I can't see, Miss Taz, am I about right?
Keep going down. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. 2, 1, 0.
So now I've got that where I want it to be. I need it to align centrally, not in the middle, but centrally this way. So if I can go to OK, go to my party box, select them both. Both should now be done. Press OK, go to Object Edit, and there's my align. And I'm just going to press my align button, and I'm going to align it to the center point. I think it's that one. There you go, it just shifts it over. And then I would cut that. That's my aperture done, okay? Really, really easy. Then the next process, so I would cut that as normal. Do you want me to cut it? You can see it going. You're not bothered, Miss Taz. So the next process that I would do is, I know that that circle is 4.5 inches. I want another one because I want a layered aperture. So then I'm going to put in a piece of perfect paper in a colour, and I'm going to just cut it, just a random circle in the middle of the piece of paper. It doesn't matter where it is, because I can cut the square myself around it. I don't need to match it to that. I just need it to be smaller than the actual aperture that was there. So instead of cutting my next one to 4.5 inches, I'm going to do it to 4 inches. And so that circle, that aperture will sit in the middle of it. So let's have a look at that and how it comes together. So let me get me bits and me bats, Miss Taz, with my Miss Sharon envelopes. If Miss Sharon, if you're watching, let me just take Wiley first so you can see him, because he is super, super handsome. And then I'm going to take the aperture that we just made. That's exactly what we did. Once it cuts, that's what you get, okay? So I've just got it higher at the top, and I've got this at the bottom. Then I'm going to take the next piece, which is my layer, okay? So I've just got a matching colour near enough to Wiley and that. So I'm going to take this, I need to stick it first and foremost. I'd usually do this with red liner tape. Doesn't really matter, but the way I'm going to do it to make sure that I get it straight is to put my aperture down first, and I'm going to put some wet glue on it. You could use red liner, it's fine. And I'm just going to sort of go outside of these lines or onto the square pieces, just so I can get the glue without it being seen at the front. So we're just going through little corner pieces. Don't need it to be too much, but I do need it to be on all sides. A bit more glue here. Oh, there we go. So we're just basing through with the glue, and then I'm going to use my aperture then to line up so that I know I've got it in the right place. If I try and do it from the reverse, I'm going to get it hideously wrong. So I can drop that, I can move it just so that my aperture is about where I want it to be. Commit. And push. Okay, so my aperture is now in place. Really, really sweet. And I'm going to leave that to dry, so I'm just going to put that onto the other side. Now things get super, super fun. I know that that's an 8x8 card. We know that, we cut it ourselves, we did it on the Scan and Cut. I need a box for the bottom of it, and in order to create, I'm just going to create a box myself. It's super easy to do. I'm going to show you how to do it, but I'm going to put tiny lights in there, and I'm going to have a mechanism for those tiny lights where you switch it on and off. If I make the box so that it's 8x8, I'm going to see the mechanism, because I still want to make it into a card. I still want a card, even though I'm making a box, I want it to be a card. So I can't have the mechanism at the back because I need it to stand. I need a stand at the back of the card. So it's got to sit on one of the 4 sides. It's either got to be sitting on the side or at the top or the bottom. So I need to make the box that it's going to sit on just a little bit smaller, so I hide the mechanism. I don't want it sitting right at the front. It's going to look horrendous. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of cardstock. I know that my card is 8x8, and I've cut this at 9.5 by 10. Now the reason I've done that is because I need it to be rectangular and not square. I need it to fit either top to bottom correctly, but on one side I need it to be shorter so I can hide my mechanism. And I'm going to score this at 1 inch on either side. So that'll take me down. So 9.5 will take me down to 7.5, because I've got 1 inch here and 1 inch here. And 10 will take me to 8x8. I I hope that makes sense. We're going down by 1 inch on either side. And we're actually going to do that in 2 increments. So just to show you, if I can find my trusty scoreboard. And go from this side. Now this is really easy. We're going to do 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. So while I'm just scoring these out, just to remind you that on the digital marketplace today, please do go and look on the digital marketplace anyway, because it's an amazing place and there's loads of stuff on there. We don't push it enough really, but there is 3 for 2 today. In fact, I don't know how long that deal's going on for. I assume it's for 24 hours, but it's 3 for 2. So you're going to go and find yourself some bargains. The deal of the day today is the USB that we're looking at right now. So do please go and check that out, and you'll have it straight on your computer the minute you buy it, which is very exciting. No need to wait. Love, love, love that. So my score lines, 10 inches. Let me bring this down so you can see it. I've got my 10-inch point here. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch down. So 9.5. Make sure I get that even. Never a guarantee. And then at 9. Okay, same on each side. So this is 9.5, so I'm going to take it down to 9. And then I'm going to take it down to 8.5. Just 1/2 inch, then 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. That's the hardest part done. The hardest part is now complete. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm just going to fold where those score lines are. Super easy, nothing difficult. Okay. Fold in all 4 sides. All 4 sides. While you're doing this, you can be cutting wily out on your machine, so you're not wasting any time. And you can make this as quick as I make it today. Super easy, but really lovely. So I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and on every single one of these, you see where that line is, and it finishes on that second piece. So I've got a cross point here and a cross point here. I'm going to cut to there. So straight down to that second score, then stop, right? And I'm going to do that on both pieces. Then push that way. This middle piece, this little piggy went to market, this little piggy had none, okay? So this one I'm cutting off. If I can grab hold of my scissors, and I'm cutting it away. So now I've got that, okay? Then I'm going to do it on every side. That's it. Nothing more complex than that. So in, push this up, and take it across. Same again. Just to that score line. Push that one back so it's out of your way. Use some better scissors than I've got in my hand right now. Take those off. Then we're going to go here. Same again. Push this back. Push this forward. And trim that away. So that's all 4 of those gone. Okay, so now I'm left with this. So all I'm going to do, lift one of these, fold it, make sure that's done, and this, and then that, and that is going to sit down here. Okay, creating a box point. Same again, this one, fold those in, push it down, and that is then going to get glued onto that. Now I would use red liner tape, I'm not going to lie, but I'm here and I'm doing it fast, and I've got one pre-made, so I'm not too worried. I wanted to show you exactly how it's done rather than just saying do as I say and not as I do. So fold in, and we're just, hey, I would put glue on the wrong side. Fold it through, push. There's where my glue goes, Miss Taz. It's on that bit. Just put it underneath. Red liner tape is going to be your best friend at this stage, okay? Just hold them and go on through. Now I'm going to leave it at that because you know exactly where we're going with this. Actually, I can't because my brain won't let me. Hold on. If I don't finish it, I'll sit and have fizzy thoughts for the rest of the day, and I don't want fizzy thoughts. Okie doke. Now, I mean, I'm going to leave it, but you can see where we are. You can see that it's created that box, okay? So now that I've got that and I've got mine through, the next process on this, simply done, and I will show you. You're going to let that dry, obviously. The next process that I do, I'm going to use an awl or I'm going to use a needle, and I'm just going to poke a hole through one of the sides. And it doesn't matter which one, but you're going to work it out. Where do you want your mechanism to be? Because this should be 8 by 8. We know it's not. We know I've got a shorter side and a longer side, and wherever I put my mechanism is where I'm going to have the shorter side, because I want my big square to be covering in it. So if I want it to be on the side, for instance, then I'm going to poke into my smaller side here. And all you're going to do is just poke it through, and that's where my wires for my tiny lights are going to go. And I'm going to feed them through. So my mechanism is going to sit at the side here. I'm going to feed the wires through. I'm going to put red liner tape all the way around the square on the inside, and I'm going to stick the lights to that, and that is going to then give me this. So I'm in exactly the same space that I was with you. All I've done here is stick, and that's got my tiny lights in it, so that when I turn the mechanism on, there's my lights. Really easy, okay? 2 score lines, create your own box, use red liner tape, make sure it sticks firm, and then I've got my little mechanism sitting here. It does sit off the edge of that card. I'm not worried about that right now because I'm going to create a stand for my card, so that's not going to be in my way. It's just while I'm constructing, it's just there. Where do I want that to be? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter so long as it's where it should be. What I do want to make sure is that my stand is going to be able to make the card stand up, and the stand is going to have to react at the sides. So I think what I'm going to do is have that at the bottom down here on my left hand side, and now I've got my aperture, and what I want to do is make sure the bottom of that lines up. The side I'm covering because I'm covering that mechanism. I'm okay with that, and for this I would be using red liner as well, which I absolutely will do if I can get hold of some. Let's have a scan here. It's all falling off the roll at Miss Towers. Hold on, let me get this one. You can use what's it tape as well. T'other what do you call it? Easy tear strip thingy white. Somebody finger lift. That's the one. So I'm just going to place through. I've ruined these scissors. I've ruined them, Miss Towers. A little bit of this here. Got all the gunk on them. What have I put on here? We'll blame Miss Sharon. It must have been when Miss Sharon was here last. Put that on there. Take this across. You've got a really lovely little box frame already. I know that I want that bottom left. I'm just going to get a hold of my red liner. My main focus here is to make sure that my bottom and the bottom of my aperture piece line up completely. That's important, and that is my biggest task. Hey up. There we go. So I've got them where I want them to be, and I'm just going to lay this through. This is my important bit. Make sure that's hidden and make sure the bottom lines up. That's all I'm worried about. The rest of it doesn't matter. So there, and then the rest lays. I can't see my workings. Everything's hidden because that aperture here is just slightly down from the top. So I made that when I was, to be honest, the circle moved there automatically anyway, but it just means it's hidden. And now when I turn my tiny lights on, I've got a beautiful glow coming through here. So you can then, you know, put whatever you need to in that. But Wiley Fox is the perfect partner for this, and he works so beautifully. Now before I put Wiley down, I want to put my card mechanism on the back of here. So I've scored much more than ½ inch this time. This time I've scored about 1.5 inches, and I've used 3 pieces of this because it's going to sit lower than I normally do, because normally we put it up here, right? I don't want it to go up there. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm using all 3. I want strength in this. Ooh, that was exciting. And then last one. Move it away. This time more than ever, move it away. Put it towards your body. Keep it away. And then make sure you've got this on the right side that you want it on. I want it to be on the floor. I've got to shuffle it. I've got to make sure that's right. So I've got it here. I'm shuffling and shuffling. I'm making sure that everything is squared. And then I'm just going to place and just make sure that that is sealed so that my card will stand. And then I've got the box and the aperture sitting at the front there, and I know that everything is working right, and that I know that when I put my little tiny lights on, my glow will just come through in the most beautiful way. Okay, really easy. Nothing difficult about this construction. It's just step by step. Scan and cut's there, let it do the work for you. Then we've got Wiley. And Wiley is beautiful. He's one of my favourite from this whole USB. He's one of my favourite animals that Nick has ever created. I love him. So little bits of glue here, nothing too much. And we are nearly done. Now I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of glue, and this is where your applicators come through, just on his little head space around here on that glow. And I'm going to frame him into that aperture. Yep. So that he just sits perfectly in that round. Really, really gorgeous. Look at the shadow play behind. See all of that? That's stunning. Lay him down. Pretty, right? And then we're going to build his decoupage layer. So taking this on a 3 inch, so we're just raising it 3 inch, 3 mil. 3 inch would be very high. And just pulling that through. Line his tail. Line his body. And then his decoupage layers coming through. I love his little face. He's so handsome. Leaning over. And then I think I should have, I thought I had another little piece for his tail, but it may not be. But pretty much I'm okay with it just being like that. Now if you want to add a little bit of something, a little bit of interest to it, something else, then you absolutely can. It doesn't, it's obviously, there's no craft police. This is entirely for you to do. I might put a little bit of jewel dots just in one corner. It doesn't matter which corner, but I think I'm probably more likely to be at the bottom somewhere, just because it will break up some of that white space. So I'll pop it into this corner and just do a little diagonal. One final one. Little bit of sparkle. Turn his lights on, and Wiley is all good. He's so handsome. Can I turn him, Miss Taz, or not? It's a shame we can't turn the lights down in this studio, but he is so handsome and so sweet, and it's such a simple card to make. But he is so effective. Miss Taz is running around turning the lights off. You're so good, Miss Taz. Thank you. And there you go. You can see him all lit up. Really, really easy to make cards using your scan and cut. Your scan and cut is always going to, it's very dark, Mr. Taz.
I wonder
Your,
why.
your scan and cut is always going to be your best friend, because not only when we start to use the USB is it incredible, but those simple shapes that are already built into your scan and cut just make life a lot easier when we're making card bases. So something like this, where you are literally just putting a couple of score lines in a piece of cardboard, that's the only bit of work that you really need to do yourself. And cut that little box frame out. It's so easy to make, and it's such an effective piece, and it's also something that can be used for home decor as well. And obviously I've used Wiley. You could use this in a number of different ways. He would be beautiful if you paper pieced these elements on the inside too. So just go to town, have some fun with your scan and cut, play it to your heart's content, because it is the most fun. This is a crazy awesome idea from Carnation to put the USBs on the digital marketplace straight to your computer. No waiting, no postage, no messing. It's there. It is on the what's the word I'm looking for?
Deal of the day.
It's on the deal of the day today, so you can go and get it straight away. It is at a special show price for you today, but please do remember that the digital marketplace has got 3 for 2 today. 3 for 2, 3 for 2. So you're getting something free. Go and have a look, go and have a root, because that offer is only on for another 12 hours. After that, it is gone. That'll be your last chance saloon. Please do go and look at your 3 for 2. Have a little look at the Into the Woods. It is a gorgeous USB, as you've just seen. It's got some of those beautiful fairy tale elements and those woodland creatures. And just go and have fun with your scan and cut, because it's the best fun ever, and I loves it. I loves my scan and cut so much. In fact, I'm about to go and do some vinyl work on my scan and cut today, so I will be playing with it for the rest of the day. I hope you are all really well. I hope you have... When are we on next? I was going to say an amazing week. I'll see you next Friday. 2 shows on Friday. It's a special day next Friday because it's not normal shows. We're doing something a little bit different next week, which is quite exciting. So Friday we have got 2 shows for you from this studio. I've got a feeling I'm on before that with Create and Craft for Ponderance Place. And I think Wheeler's doing Ponderance Place as well. So I think I've got 2 shows on Wednesday and Wheeler's got 1 show on Thursday. I think you've got Doris.
Yeah, Wednesday you're doing 4 and 8.
4 and 8 for me on Wednesday.
Wheeler's got 8.
Doris has got 8 in the morning. So we'll see you on CNC, and then we'll see you here on Friday for something very special. In the meantime, please really do take good care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Bye.